Hybridity could be defined as a fusion of two cultures or more and result a new culture without left the prior culture. This term was introduced by Homi Bhabha in his book entitled The Location of Culture. Besides the hybridity, this research also looking for the meaning of space. To find it, I used proxemic theory from Edward C. Hall. The theory explained that a person distance has meaning in a space. The space is divided into three parts: fixed feature, semi-fixed feature, and informal space. Informal space is divided into 4 zones, and these 4 zones are split into 2 phases with its own characteristic and gap. The problem is about the role hybridity and the meaning of space in this church that will be linked to 6 of 7 sacraments of Catholicism. The research method consists of collecting data analysis, and interpretation. The data that I use is Santa Maria de Fatima Catholic Church in West Jakarta. This building consists of church as main building, supporting building around the church, and the churchyard. In this church, the hybridity is reflected from using Chinese culture, from its history, and applied basilica church type. From these pictures, we could see that the altar using red and gold colors on the pole. There are 2 lampions and the tabernacle. The tabernacle is made from house of ash from prior building's owner. For Chinese people, house of ash is sacred thing because they believe if ancestor spirits stay in there. House as a Christ corpus was believed as sacred thing. Based on this similar concept, house of ash is used as tabernacle. On the other hand, using house of ash as tabernacle made Chinese culture more exist without left the Catholic element. On the left of altar, there is statue of Jesus Christ, which illustration dominated by green colors, and each element, like flower, mountain, also represented the character of Jesus. On the right of altar, there is statue of Mother Mary, which illustration dominated by blue colors, and each element, like flower, flamingo, and the butterfly, also represented the character of Mother Mary. The outer part of church, we also could see the Chinese culture. From the front wall, it has ornamental motif like peony flower, meander symbol, and geometric pattern. The roof also still applies Chinese building style, namely saddle roof with a roof frame that curves at the end. This form called Ying Santing or Fir Mountain. Hybridity also shown from its history. Before this building is used as Catholic church, it was a residential house of Chinese Kapitan with surname Chiu. Then purchased by Pater Wilhelmus Krause van Eyden in 1953 on the order of Monsignor Adrianus to be used as building for overseas Chinese people and accommodate a mass. So a chapel was built in the courtyard. The changing from house to the Catholic church called as Domus Ecclesia. The term Domus Ecclesia introduced by Eusebius, and it could be understood as a private house that was built or renovated to accommodate the liturgical activities. The spatial layout in this church follow basilica type. We could see the division of space, like there is sacred space where the clerics or priests presided and held mass, semi-sacred space where the laity to take place to sit and follow the mass, and profane space as the entrance of church. If we see from the vertical view, it shows that sacred space that starts from pulpit to tabernacle is more higher than semi-sacred and profane space. It makes impression holy, and with the higher level, people who sit on the backside of nave still see the procession of the mass. And from this research, I also see if hybridity isn't only fusion of Chinese culture and Catholic element. From this fusion, Catholic Chinese descendants could preserve their identity as Chinese or Chinese descendant. Behind the strict division about the division of space in this church, there's meeting point that called Antara Space. Antara could be defined as in the middle of two objects or time or the distance between two objects. It is important to discuss because 4 of the 7 sacraments are given in this room. From these pictures, we could see the division of sacrament giving space. In Antara Space, there are 4 sacraments such as baptism, Eucharist, confirmation, and marriage. Based on this phenomena, it is important to see the ritual procession because there is interaction between the clerics and the laity. This interaction will be linked to the informal space. From this table, we could see that 3 sacraments like baptism, confirmation, and chrism are in personal distance far face because from the table we could see there is physical contact. And for marriage is in social distance close space because there isn't physical contact during the procession of sacrament. The difference level at the front of semi-sacred space is marked by the presence of Mary and Jesus statue beside the altar. The statue also accompanied by Chinese illustration that related to the church meaning of these two figures, even they use Chinese illustration. From this research, I conclude that hybridity is not just a fusion of or mixture from Domus Ecclesia, the Basilica, and the Chinese culture, but as a way to preserve their identity, especially Chinese descendants in this church. The presence of Antara Space is a proof that behind strict division above hierarchy of space, there is meeting point. And the last is proxemic theory also show the relationship if there is increasing of sacredness level in the semi-sacred space near to the sacred space.